Hi guys, welcome to drawing the human form using geometric shapes. Oops. So first what we're going to do is start by drawing in the head just by creating an oval. You want to keep in mind size-wise when we talk about the 8 head rule. So our chest is typically too wide. So we're going to make a little mark on the sides, the bottom, and the top. And we are going to create another oval. Oops. Okay, so this is going to represent the torso. I know it looks a little funny now, but don't worry. So we're going to find the center of that torso and we're going to create the pelvis next, which is going to be a slightly curved line, but it's basically creating just a triangle. So we're going to create that triangle. Okay. Now to connect these two body parts, we're going to be making another oval. So this basically acts as where I guess ideally our abs would be. So we're going to create another oval right in the middle there. Right, so you can see that that line is kind of central to both parts. So the next part that we're going to do is create a curved line that connects our sides. So you can start to see the form beginning to take a little bit of shape. And we're going to come in and erase those center marks. We don't need them. And you can see this also kind of creates where the chest cavity would be. So to create the arms, we first need to attach our head. So instead of just drawing two straight lines, when we draw the neck, I like to kind of create a dot in the center, a little bit lower than the chin, and kind of connect almost like a V, like a curved V shape. Okay, kind of coming around to create a clavicle. So just going up and down and curving it slightly past the torso. Up, down, and slightly past. So for the shoulders, we talked about how we are made out of shapes and forms. So we're just going to create a circle to represent a sphere. But you want that sphere to slightly overlap your torso and go slightly above that clavicle line that we drew. Now, we're basically going to look like a mannequin, a wooden art mannequin, when we're finished at first. So with that, we're going to be creating a form. We're creating a cylinder because our arms are basically cylinders. It's going to be slightly above the belly button. And then we need to also represent the elbow. So that's a joint is going to be another sphere. And this is going to be a slightly tapered cylinder. So the cylinder will be a little bit smaller at the end, representing where our wrist is. And that joint is also very small, so we're just going to find the center by finding the middle, following that line, and just creating this simple shape to kind of show the illusion of, you know, a hand or a fist. So we're going to do the same thing on the other side, starting with that sphere or circle, okay, creating a cylinder for the upper portion of the arm. You can see how it's overlapping the torso. That's important. We're also creating another sphere and another tapered cylinder to represent our wrist and lower arm, and then that same kind of basic shape, just representing a little bit of a hand. So the next step is our legs, and our legs are basically large cylinders, but they're broken up into two parts. So you want to remember that they are going to be about the same length. So that is slightly on a curve. So when we make the bottom part, we're going to have a little bit of a line. It's going to slightly curve out on the outer edge. Okay, and then because that line on top is on an angle, our bottom line is, our bottom portion of our cylinder also is as well. Okay, now you got to remember we also need a knee. So we're going to add a sphere for our knee joint. Okay, and then for our cylinder at the bottom also will be slightly tapered, depending on the style or the person that you're creating. These are a little thin, but you can kind of bulk them up. But you do want to make sure it tapers towards the angle, towards the end, and add that joint at the bottom for a foot. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to recreate the exact same thing on the other side, okay? But finding the center is important later for when we are making sure our alignment is correct and adding the feet. Okay, so making that same straight line, we're going to add also another curved line to the side, giving a little volume, and then that angled cylinder. And continue to make the lower portion of the leg down to the ankle. Okay, so you can see they're both slightly curved out as if you're standing straight looking on. So you want to make sure you pay attention to that when you're adding the feet to find that center line. So kind of going from the middle of the upper portion and running down to the middle of the bottom, you'll able to see the angle that those feet curve on. And the feet are just going to be a very simple pyramid, just a little bit of a angle. And once we shade these in, you'll kind of be able to see a little bit where the inside and outside of the foot are. So just 3 simple lines. You can square it off a little bit. But once we shade that in, there we go, you can see that you can find the highlight for where the front of the foot is versus the side. So these are just very basic shapes um, for drawing the human form. So in this section, I'm going to show you guys how you can use those same forms to create foreshortening. So using that same cylinder shape, okay, when things go into the background versus the foreground, right, they get larger or smaller. So if it's coming towards me, it's getting larger. So I'm going to create a larger oval so that the object looks like it's coming towards me. You can also use a spiral, some people will use to help define how large it should be. I'm going to create a larger knee joint, okay, and then to make another oval, to create another cylinder, look like it's going into the background, I'm going to create a smaller oval and connect those. So now the object looks like he's raising his knee, right? That it's coming towards us and then receding into the background, kind of at a angle to the right. And I'm going to come in and just put like a simple foot following the center of that leg and erase my middle lines. So then I can kind of come in and create a little bit more outline, a little bit more detailing on the actual shape of and the anatomy as well. It kind of adds a little bit more, like I said, detailing and kind of pulling those forms together where the foot would be. Voila. His thighs are a little thick, so we're going to slim them down. So if I want to do something with the arm, you can also use a vanishing point if you'd like. So some people, you'll create that same circle. We'll make a vanishing point and use that to dictate where different elements would be. So if I was creating its arm coming into the foreground, I can use that vanishing point to find out where that front part, top portion of the arm would be, right? Then where that larger joint would be. Now if it's going straight, I would create another oval, then use that vanishing point to create another large oval and connect those. Remember that it is slightly tapered though, so I'm going to bring that in a little bit so it does look like a wrist. Now for the hand, because it's kind of coming at me, but it's at an angle, I'm going to create the joint for the wrist. And then our hand is almost, our palm's almost like a rectangular prism, I guess. So using my vanishing point, I can figure out where I'm going to place the side of the palm, as well as where my fingers should kind of come from. So if I create this kind of like a flattened square, uh, sorry, okay, I can then figure out right where my fingers are going to be based on those lines that I used from the vanishing point. So I can then come in and detail them, just round out those little lines that I made. with the thumb, kind of round out that side there by my shoulder. Clean up the edges of those different cylinders. Make sure to note where the elbow is, where things kind of will come in and come out, just based on anatomy. So your musculature, kind of things that we use so that you can put them in some more dynamic poses. You could also draw from that sphere, a larger sphere, to create a hand that's coming straight at you. So I want you guys to just have a little bit of fun with this. And I know you probably can't read it, but you're going to practice drawing the figure, the mannequin, and then come up with two different ways to pose them. Either move one leg and an arm. It's only going to be one pose, but you need to show two forms of either of foreshortening using coming towards you, getting larger, or receding into the background. So it can be both arms, it can be an arm and a leg, but have some fun with this. And just try practicing a couple different poses. You're required two, so either two arms, two legs, an arm, a leg, and you're going to take a picture of your practice piece, and you're going to upload and submit. If you guys have any questions, just shoot me an email, and I'll post a little direction sheet as well along with that. Bye.